Hi, I'm Bybreen Samuels, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Today we have a full moon in Scorpio, which means the sun is in opposition to it and it's based in Taurus. And so we've got this sense of the sensitivities of the moon, of love and nurturing and protection and support and community and really supporting yourself and others, is being plunged into the murky underground of plutonic waters because it's in Scorpio. Now this is opposite the sun, as I said, and the sun is about being really grounded because it's in Taurus, it's in an earth sign. So the sun here is very confident and comfortable and feeling very secure in terms of who he or she understands herself to be. So you've got this tension, so you're trying to navigate this axis between Scorpio and Taurus, the moon and the sun. So you're being invited to integrate oppositions, light and dark, unconscious and conscious, and then death and rebirth and renewal. And it's this dance that you have to perform in order to gain this really solid sense of this comfortable identity, but you won't be able to acquire that and really value, because the sun in Taurus is about believing and having a great sense of value about who you are and the things that you accomplish in the physical world. But you can't achieve that until you've plunged back into the murky waters of Scorpio, and here you are fighting or you're dancing with your demons. So when we're dealing with Scorpio, it's ruled by Pluto, so it's the invitation for you to really think about where are those barrows and where are those blocks and where are those walls that need to be torn down. Now, because the moon is in Scorpio, there's a sense that your old feelings are being dredged up, and it's feelings around and emotions about jealousy and insecurity and rage and revenge. And so these are negative emotions, and during this full moon process you might find that they're being dredged up and being brought to the surface, and you're tackling them and you're fighting with them. And so you have to do this if you want to purge and cleanse and move from this sense of this infantile way of behaving through, the unconscious way of behaving, move into levels of consciousness. So if we think about Scorpio, Scorpio has various representations, various images attached to it. So firstly, there's a snake, and a snake sheds its skin. Then you move into the scorpion identity. And here, so when you're dealing with the snake and the scorpion, you're operating at lower levels of consciousness. So for example, there's this wonderful story where the scorpion invites a frog to carry him across the river. And so the frog turns to the scorpion and says, okay, I'll do it. I don't mind doing it, but please don't sting me. So the scorpion says, okay, that's no problem, carry me across the river. So the scorpion climbs on the frog, and the frog starts swimming into the river. Halfway across, the scorpion stings the frog, and they both begin to drown. And before they do, the frog turns to the scorpion and says, why did you sting me? And the scorpion said, because I felt like it. So if you identify with that aspect of your personality where you're feeling belligerent and you don't care, even if you destroy yourself in the process, it's an indication that there's more room for growth and you're operating in the lower levels of consciousness. So the next level after the scorpion is the eagle. So the eagle is an Egyptian bird of prey, and so it's out there living expansively. But if you're operating under the eagle identity, what it's showing you is that your sense of identity is based on external things or external people or relationships. So you could be somebody who's really committed to a cause, an ideal, a project, a person, a relationship, a group of people, and you will throw yourself into it, being really focused on trying to make it work. If you find you're operating in this way, here again, it's another indication that you haven't fully understood that your journey through this life is about really identifying and understanding your core identity, which then means there's another room for growth. Moving on to the fourth phase, and the fourth phase is the phoenix. And the phoenix rises from the ashes, having been burnt to cinders. And so this is an indication that our spirits and our personalities there's a sense of immortality, there's a sense of it being really infinite. And if you're operating within the ego framework, that means that you haven't understood that by doing so, you are limiting your identity, your personality, and all areas of your life. So when you move into the Phoenix image and the Phoenix identity, you're giving yourself the opportunity to live a very expansive life. So Pluto here is saying, okay, we've got this moon, it's a full moon, so it's trying to come to an end of one cycle to open up to another cycle. And the other cycle is where the sun is currently, because it's just moved into Taurus. So Pluto is in Capricorn, and so given that the sun has moved into Taurus, Pluto now is in the 9th house. And the 9th house is about your philosophy and your ideas and the rules and the principles in which you base your life upon. And here it's an indication that they're too rigid, and you're fossilizing yourself in a particular way that is not serving you. So now that the moon has moved into Scorpio, these old feelings that are outdated and outworn are coming to the surface, and they are potentially limiting you back into the past. And so the way forward then is to look at the opposite sign of where Pluto is. And so Pluto is in Capricorn, and the opposite sign then is Cancer. And Cancer is the sign that the moon rules. So here, if you're trying to access and begin to navigate this terrain, the best things for you to do is to look at how you can begin to nurture yourself in a very conscious way that enables you to see this sense of, you know, where you're angry and where you're raging and when you're feeling insecure, that you're able to transform that, and so you're able to tap into this sun identity that's very solid. And so by way of mythology, we have this hero's journey, and this is being indicated by Hercules. So Hercules sets off, and before he does, his mentor says to him, you're going to face 12 challenges along your journey. Now the 8th challenge, you're going to meet the 9-headed Hydra. And so she lives in a swampy cave, and you're going to be doing battle with her. So Hercules is listening to this and paying attention, thinking, okay, right, so when I get to the 8th hurdle, I'm going to meet the Hydra. And his mentor advises, now just bear in mind, Hercules, this is what you have to pay attention to. We rise by kneeling, we conquer by surrendering, and we gain by giving up. So bear that in mind, and you shouldn't have any problems when you're dealing with the Hydra. Now, this is a metaphor of how we begin to enter into the dance with our dark side that's hidden in the underworld of where these murky emotions are residing. Anyway, Hercules sets off, and he goes through his challenges, and he comes up to the 8th challenge, and it's like, okay, now's the time for me to start dancing with the Hydra. I've got to face and confront this Hydra. So he has a club, he has some spears, and he has a cutter. So he starts firing his spears and his arrows into this murky cave. Nothing happens. So he's thinking, oh, is the Hydra there? Why isn't she coming out? Then he decides to light the spears and the arrows and starts firing them into the murky swamp. The next thing he knows, that out comes the Hydra, and she's enraged, she's furious, she's angry, and she confronts Hercules. So Hercules, in his limited wisdom, starts clubbing the Hydra. Nothing happens. He starts cutting off the heads of the Hydra, and each head he cuts off, 3 more grows back. Here, this is an indication of when we separate those negative aspects of our personality from our consciousness, they come back, and they come back more intensely. And this is what Hercules is facing now that he's dealing with the Hydra. Then there's an aha moment, and he remembers what his mentor said. We rise by kneeling, we conquer by surrendering, and we gain by giving up. So he kneels down into this swampy cave, and he's dancing with the Hydra. And what he does is he lifts the Hydra out of the swamp, out of the water, and raises her clear up into the air. And so here it's an indication that the negativity has lost its power. And so the Hydra, as soon as she's put into the air, which is the place of consciousness, she loses all power over Hercules. She wilts. And so here, when we're dealing with our negative side, when we're able to confront them, they lose their power over our psyche and our personality. From here, Hercules then starts cutting off the heads of the Hydra, and he cuts off all 9 heads, and then one more grows back. And the one that grows back, he now recognizes that this is the gem, this is the jewel, so he takes it and he buries it under a rock. And this is an indication that when we dance with our demons and we confront our demons and we overpower our demons, we then can see the jewel that lies within. And if you're able to see the jewel that lies within, you're then able to traverse and cross this axis from Scorpio into Taurus, where the sun is beaming confidently, securely in your personality. So that's it for this week, and the quote I want to leave you with is from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and what he said is this: every minute you spend angry means that you are losing 60 seconds of peace of mind. So on that note, I will leave you to dance with your demons under this full moon in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. If you like this episode, feel free to like, subscribe, and share with people in your network, and leave your comments in the comment box below, because I always love to engage with you. So on that note, I wish you a very, very, very interesting full moon in Scorpio. And I'll see you again on the next episode.